welcome in. A very happy Friday to you now. I can't believe it, right? April the 12th, and we are a couple of rounds in to the Masters. Major League Baseball is off and running, and we are thankfully going to be done with the regular season in the NBA as well as the NHL after the next couple of days. And thank goodness I say that, because good luck trying to figure out who's playing and who's not playing here in the NBA. It has been quite the roller coaster, but good news is we'll have Coach James Young stepping up here in just a few. We'll get his thoughts on the games coming up tonight. Still a lot to play for, obviously, as far as seeding goes. The New York Knicks and company, Milwaukee Bucks, the Pacers and Cavs is a real interesting one. So plenty of games tonight in the association. We will have, no games tomorrow in the NBA, which is interesting. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll have one final hurrah for the regular season in the association. So a lot still to play for some of these teams here tonight. Same situation with the NHL. We got a handful of games coming up a little bit later here tonight. We'll talk to George Kurtz and get his thoughts on some of these games coming up. But a lot of focus on Major League Baseball, as well as we should, since we are off and running. And the Oakland A's, Las Vegas A's, I don't know what the hell you call them, but they just opened up a can of giant whoop-you-know-what on the world champion Texas Rangers here. So the fun has just begun in Major League Baseball. We got some great games getting ready underway at the top of the hour, including the red-hot Royals getting ready to take on the New York Mets, who also opened up a giant can of you-knew-what on the Atlanta Braves yesterday, as we welcome in our radio audience here on this Friday. It is GameTime Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Certainly appreciate you stopping by here as we're getting ready. Full slate of Major League Baseball here tonight. Kansas City just refuses to lose here after a huge sweep. 4 games in a row, plus they had, I believe, 4 or 5 game winning streak heading in to that Astros series, in which they handled business no problem. Has anybody seen that pitching staff of the Kansas City Royals? They are lighting batters up. Brady Singer yesterday did his part there, as the Astros do not know what hit him. Michael Wacha on the mound tonight, the new Royal here, coming via San Diego Padres from a year ago. The Cardinals for a while, Tampa Bay. He's been quite the journeyman, but he's also been very solid everywhere he has pitched. Can't say the same for Luis Severino, however, who has been nothing but, gasoline on a fire. And that's exactly what he in all likelihood will be tonight, as he'll take the mound for the New York Mets. That is going to be a fun one here. Looking forward to seeing that game. And, of course, Padres-Dodgers, Battle of Southern Cal coming up for a little late-night special. And I said it, the Athletics, they got 5 wins already here. Did anybody see the A's having 5? I'll tell you who I didn't see having 5 wins was the Nationals. And yet here they both sit 5-8, 5-7, just a couple of games under 500 to start the year. And both are trending to the over on their win total. Now, I get it. It's a long season, very long season, in fact, and a lot can go hard left here. But the reality is 2 teams that have been overperforming thus far from expectations, and now they get to play each other this weekend. So game 1 will be a little bit later tonight. That's always fun. But all eyes this weekend, on the Masters. And would Tiger or would not Tiger be able to make the cut? Could he do it? Well, it looks like he is going to make his 24th straight cut at Augusta National. He shot 72 in the second round. He had to finish his first round early this morning, got that done, came in at 73. So this is a 5-time champion, and I now believe he has just set the record with his 24th straight made cut at Augusta, because it doesn't look like the rest of the guys out on the course right now are going to be able to push that cut line one way or the other. But you can anticipate seeing a lot of Tiger Woods over the weekend here. So those of you that had him to make the cut at plus money, congrats. I was not one of them people. I actually laid it and anticipated him to labor around and then eventually just ride off into the sunset. But he's going to give it a go here on Saturday and Sunday with a 1 over 145. And there he goes. And by the way, the record he broke, Freddie Couples and Gary Player for the longest made cut streak in Masters champion history. So good stuff there. However, I'll give you three guesses to who's leading this tournament. And he's still out on a golf course, which has to be very scary for everybody else who has already finished with their round. Is Scotty Scheffler through 12 holes here, 7 under par. He's got a 1-stroke lead over a couple of guys. Bryson DeChambeau, who bogeyed a couple of holes down the stretch, missed a lift out a birdie putt there on 17, could have pulled to 8 under, but instead, nope, he's 6 under par. But so is Max Homa, who finished up earlier in the day. He's at 6 under par. Then you got a 4 under and a whole bunch of guys at 3 under. So still anybody, and that's really the thing that we have to focus on and remember. It is still anybody's game here for the Masters heading into this weekend, unless Scotty Scheffler figures out this putter thing and runs away with it, which is still very, very possible. But we'll have Brady Cannon stopping by a little bit later. In fact, next hour, we're going to talk to him, get his thoughts on this round. And, of course, we will also check in on how Xander Schauffele is doing, because it's always been a rule of this show with Brady that friends don't let friends bet. Xander Schauffele, we'll see if he's even going to make the cut here this weekend. The cut line, by the way, has been established somewhere around 5 over, I believe. And maybe the craziness is some of the names that are not going to be playing this weekend, including Victor Hovland, who is currently, well, he's still got a few holes to go, but he's 6 over par right now, 7 over for the day. Just absolutely blew up there on the front nine today. Siwoo Kim was also a favorite here of many coming into this. Ricky Fowler, he still has some work to do with about 3 or 4 holes to go. He's 6 over par. Tom Kim, Adam Scott, man, a list of guys not playing this weekend is long. We'll talk more Masters, NBA, Major League Baseball, a lot to get to here on this Friday. It's Game Time Decisions on the Grid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Jrue Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times, and Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Friday as we get ready for the final weekend in the NBA regular season playoffs. Will be here before we know it. So still some unfinished business here tonight in an absolutely loaded slate. Nobody better to help us navigate who's playing, who's not playing, what are the games that have any juice. And the coach, James Young, in the house here. And, Coach, this has just been a horrific final 2 weeks of the regular season, trying to make heads or tails of who's interested in playing, who's not, load management in full effect. And I guess no better example of that than tonight is the alerts keep coming in that half the Celtics aren't playing. We've got just a whole lot of guys that are not going to be available to play here tonight. Let's start with your Knicks with a hell of a beatdown last night against the Celtics. What do we do with your Knicks here tonight who are still battling against Brooklyn?
Well, I think when you look at New York, and here's what I did, folks. I want people to understand this. I am very nervous about taking any large spreads with teams that have something to play for versus something that's not. So what do? Take them in a shorter time frame, like the first half. So for me, I'm going to go with the Knicks minus the points in the first half. I think that's 6.5. Think about this, folks. This is the latest report come out, 6:30, right? Finney Smith out. Cam Johnson out. Dennis Schroeder out. Jaron Sharp out. Ben Simmons may never play again. Dennis Smith Jr. out. So I'm going to take the Knicks minus 7.5 in the first half because if I'm Tips, right, he is going for the 2 seed. Which is interesting because I do think there's a team in Milwaukee who may be taking for the 3 seed because of who could be the 6 or the 7, who could be Philadelphia. So that being said, I'm going to take the Knicks minus the 7.5 in the first half. I think they go out to a big 10 to 15-point lead, and then they hang on for dear life.
I'm with you there, trying to get anything full game. Good luck here. No different here with Minnesota taking on Atlanta. Minnesota at home. I'm still seeing Anthony Edwards questionable. Cat is now questionable. And we know, what do we got? DeJounte Murray, Capella still questionable here for Atlanta. Atlanta kind of locked in. They know where they're going. What is Minnesota really going to lay out on the line in this game for tonight?
I think they're going to go for it because if you think about it right now, Joe, they're tied in the loss column with Oklahoma City, which they have the tiebreaker, so they need to win out. Now, they're not going to catch the number 1 seed, which is going to be obviously Denver, because if you look at Denver, I mean, who they got left is just a damn joke. They got Memphis and San Antonio. If they can't beat those two teams, they don't deserve the damn 1 seed. So I'm going to look at Minnesota minus 8.5. Think about this. Hawks, Sadiq Bey, out. Clint Capella, questionable. Wink, wink, maybe he doesn't play. A.J. Griffin, questionable. Jalen Johnson, out. Wesley Matthews, out. DeJounte Murray, questionable. Wink, wink. Okongwu, out. And I don't even know how much they play Trey because Trey just got back, right? Atlanta's stuck in their seed. Minnesota has something to play for. Minnesota minus the points in the first half.
Yeah, it feels like we're going to get points as well because I'm not quite sure how much defense we're going to get in that game here. I mean, they're willing to go for it, but there's limits to this here, people, as far as how much they're willing to risk. But you said it earlier. You got Milwaukee tanking. Well, they're getting 14 here tonight, Coach, against OKC. Can I interest you in a little Doc Rivers special here getting 2 touchdowns?
Joe, if they were all playing, I'm still not taking the Bucks. Giannis, out. We don't know when he comes back. Game time, out. Brook Lopez, available, but it says rest, which is interesting. Chris Middleton, available. How much is he going to play? Bobby Portis, available, rest. So if you're Doc, and this is where I'm getting at, folks, if you look at the standings very closely, Milwaukee's 1 game ahead of New York. New York don't care. They're going to go for the 2. But who's in 7 right now? Philadelphia. Who's in 8? Miami. Who's in 6? Indiana. Who would you rather play? Right? So it becomes very interesting. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City is going for it. Everybody's in the lineup. First half, Thunder come out and Thunder punch the Bucks. Give me Thunder minus the points first half.
I didn't even remember Gordon Hayward was on OKC, but even he's playing tonight. So everybody is available for OKC here tonight. And it does look like they activated Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez. So they'll both go for the Bucks, but who cares? Like you said, the tank is on here. And everybody's favorite team here, Coach, and I know you love the Phoenix Suns because you trust them about as far as I do here. They are on the road, lighting the beam, 4.5, 5 in this one. What are you looking at in this one here, Coach?
Well, it's very simple, folks. Sacramento and Golden State and the Lakers are all tied with 45 losses. Right now, if the season ended today, Sacramento would have the 8th spot. But Phoenix has something to play for, right? With the Pelicans only a game ahead. But when you think about it, who does New Orleans have left to play the rest of the way, right? New Orleans has to play, I think the 2 teams that are lined up, I think they have to play one team, I think it's the Lakers, and the other team is the Warriors. So the Pelicans got to play because they don't want to get in that playing game, right? But the Suns smell opportunity. Suns minus the points. Listen, they've lost 2 in a row. Sacramento, 4 out of the last 6, or 6 out of the last 10. They're not the same team now that Malik Monk, right, and Kevin Huerter are out. Their bench and their depth is compromised. Phoenix needs it. They want to get out of this spot. Give me the Suns minus the points on the road.
So it's a huge slate of games. None tomorrow. We'll get back to another slate on Sunday. But we did get some news this week here, Coach, of some very household names from college basketball over the last month or so are going to be throwing their hat in the ring in the NBA draft. Now, call me crazy. And Klingon was absolutely amazing and deserves all the accolades he can get. I believe he just came out and said, hey, I'm available. I'm going to register for the draft here. Does any of these guys that have come out over the last week and announced move the needle for you?
No, I think it's going to be one of the worst drafts of all time. I mean, Klingon's a number 3 draft pick. I like him, but what is he going to do? He's not a generational talent, right? Filipowski, McCain. They don't really do it for me. Maybe McCain a little bit. This kid Sarr is top 3 pick. He's supposed to be interesting. But I want to go back to something really quick, right? You want to talk about, the matchup of the night? Folks, listen to this matchup between Chicago and Washington and let me name all the players not playing. Lonzo Ball,
Do we have
Alex
enough
Caruso,
time?
DeMar DeRozan, Ayo DeSamo, Andre Drummond, Zach LaVine, Julian Phillips, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Marvin Bagley III, Bilal Koulibaly, Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma. Hold on. Wait, Joe, how quickly can you get to Washington? Because they may need us to suit up tonight. I mean,
No.
I'm good for like 12 minutes. I'll get a couple of shots up. I'll definitely foul out because you thought the illegal screen that happened in the UConn game was something. You haven't seen my picks. I'll be out in 5 minutes. What say you, Joe? Can you play a couple of minutes tonight?
No, I heard it's they're giving jerseys away tonight, and if you actually put one on, they're going to bring you on the court. So don't be very careful if you get a jersey here tonight in Washington, because you might actually have to suit up for the Wizards. And the Bulls might be giving you jerseys too. Coach JY, man, enjoy it. Playoffs will be here, my man. And of course, we'll talk to you over the weekend. Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Victor Hoffman right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
suddenly I'm watching John Rahm and Rory McIlroy play golf, and I feel much better about my game here. Welcome back in. It is Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we've got Masters going on, but this could very well be the last time we see the defending champ John Rahm and Rory in the weekend, since both are just hosel-rocketing balls all over the Augusta, Georgia right now. So that'll be fun. But we do get to watch Tiger over the weekend, Mark Zinno, and I know you're hopping in a car and you're going to drive however long it's going to take you to get out to Augusta just to get a peek at a 50-year-old Tiger Woods, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I just saw one of Rahm's tee shots fly by my head here in Atlanta, so there was that. But outside of that, no, I'm not driving 2 hours through Augusta to watch Tiger Woods withdraw tomorrow because of back issues. Like, that's what I'm not, because is there a prop? Will Tiger withdraw before Sunday? Yeah, I'd bet that, because that's what it feels like is going to happen. He's going to withdraw. Something's going to start to hurt. He's out. He made the cut. It's fine. He get his check, but he's going to withdraw.
He covered the spread, right? All those that had him not making the cut, well, he screwed us all. But he'll be there, and like Zinno says, I guarantee you through 9 holes, he'll pull up, and we'll see him driving off the golf course again. Absolutely happening here. All right, we just asked the coach here, Zin. NBA treacherous here the last week or so of the regular season. Tonight, the laundry list of people in, not in is hilarious. Is there a game here that you managed to sort through that you like a little more than the rest?
Joe, I mean, my disgusting picks have been on a hot streak. I'm 8-1 on the last 9. You know this. You know where I've been and where I've gone. So listen, I told you, I found alternate markets, and I found a system that has been productive in looking at team totals and being able to fit it. I'm not asking a team to cover a number. All I'm doing is sitting here looking at numbers that are so much lower because the spreads are so much bigger that you're just asking an NBA team to get to 100 points. And that's really not that difficult across the board. And that's exactly what I'm asking the Brooklyn Nets to do tonight against the New York Knicks. Just get to 100 points. So here's the deal. The Nets averaged 109.1 points per game on the road this year, 105 in the division, 104 in their last 5. Now, we know the Knicks are one of the top defenses in the league, and their pace is the slowest in the NBA, so there's some concern there. But New York's on the tail end of a back-to-back. And this season, the Knicks average giving up 110 points on the tail end of back-to-backs. Furthermore, Knicks had a big emotional win last night over Boston, finally beat the Celtics in a regular season game. They're giving up 110.4 points per game over their last 5. Haven't held an opponent under 100 in the last 9 games. I just need the Nets to get to 101 here. I think they do it.
That's pretty fair enough, man. Pretty easy in that one here. But some of these numbers are pretty ridiculous. Not to mention we have no NBA tomorrow. Then we got to come back with a full slate on Sunday, and still good luck figuring it all out here. Nobody's playing for the Bucks. Nobody's playing for there's only a handful of games on here that have any juice. Do the Pacers beat the Cavs tonight? Because that seems to be the one game where at least both teams have something invested in this game. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think so. I'd rely on the Cavs defense here, but the Pacers, without all their scorers in the lineup, are a different team, and so I just wonder how much these guys are going to play. It could be one of these things where it's probably smarter to take a first half because they may pull up. Whichever team is losing may pull up in the second half and go, "We're not going to run our guys into the ground for this, so it's not worth it." But the other place I did look, given the lineup and a team that has something to play for, is the Lakers. Now, I'm not backing the Lakers here, but I'm going to take the Grizzlies team total under 105 here because Memphis is barely fielding an NBA team at this point. Like, they've been playing with backups for the better part of a month now. Even their backups are hurt and not playing. So they're running a D-League, G-League team out there. They failed to break 103 straight games. Now, I know the Lakers defense is not great. They've allowed 119 points per game on the road and 117 over their last 5, but they've also held opponents under 100 4 times in the last 12 games. So if LeBron James plays, and this is why you got to wait, if LeBron James plays tonight and is playing, the Lakers defense is much better. I think they'll be motivated. But again, this is just not an NBA team that's going out there. Like, it's one thing when you're playing, the 8th, 9th, 10th guys, 11th guys on the bench. It's another thing when these guys are not even actually NBA players that have all been called up off of D-League and G-League contracts to just run out the string of the season here. So Memphis under 105.5.
Yep, like it. It's a good way to approach it. Loaded slate here tonight for a lot of these teams. Loaded card in Major League Baseball here tonight, too. And I just love the Waka versus Severino matchup here tonight with the Royals, who won't lose, and the Mets. Well, it's Severino. So at some point, we know what's going to happen there, don't we, Zeno?
I would think so if he is there. I mean, look, this is also a Royals team that's bats are on fire. They're top 10 in batting average. They're top 75 in OPS and WRC plus. You know, I think it feels like the wrong team is favored here, as the Royals are the dog, if you ask me. But Mets are getting a little home team love and probably a little bit, positive aggression coming their way. So, but I wouldn't doubt the Royals bats. You know, I mean, if you don't want to play the Royals, you could also look to the over here, because Severino's on the mound. And Waka was not so good in his first start, but good in his second start. And we'll see how he is in round number 3, but he can get touched up a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but the line tells me a lot there at this point with a team at 9-game winning streak, and they're getting plus money here. Somebody has to win with Texas and Houston, don't they? Gunning against France here. Like, what is up?
I looked at the over here. Look, I played Texas twice in that series against the A's, lost them both. Not only did I lay a run and a half figuring they were going to come out and mollywop them, but they lost both those games outright. The one game I didn't play, of course, they won by over 1.5. But look, I looked at the over here. 3 out of the 4 games in the series last week when these two teams met went over. I don't trust either starter. Astros bullpen still struggling to find their way. So, bats should bust out for Texas here tonight against JP France, and I think we get a lot of runs.
We've talked about, sometimes looking at these garbage teams, like we couldn't believe, like the bad teams are just really bad. But don't tell Washington and Oakland that. Like, what in the world? I mean, I don't know who to fade now here, Zin. That's the problem.
I cannot lay it with Oakland. Like, I want to play Washington here. I cannot lay it with Oakland. I'm not going to lay points. But the crazy part is like a lot of people have been asking me, what's the biggest surprise of the season so far? And I'm like, the fact that Oakland is winning baseball games at the rate they are. Like, I mean, already, like, they're literally, you and I remember, Joe, you and I joking about them getting to their win total, about getting to 60 wins. And I was like, that's so easy. That's so easy. Then you point it out. I'm like, maybe it's not going to be so easy. They're not going to be really good.
Yeah.
But really all it's going to take is 1 month of winning like 15 or 16 games, and they're going to get there. So if they have one hot start to April and you don't see their win total jump up into the, mid to high 60s, I'd still play the over, right? Because that's really all it's going to take. And in reality, all they got to do is win like 9 games a month for the next 2 months, go like 9 and 15, right? That's 30, basically, just about 35% winning percentage, and they're going to go over. So it's just going to take 1 month for them to have a plus month, and it might be April here. That's going to be interesting. I'll give you one here if you want to sweat it out, Joe. You can't resist. You can't resist the first 5 under 3.5 with Tariq Skubal of Detroit and Pablo Lopez on the mound. I mean, these are the sweats that I kind of love. Twins have the second highest K rate in the bigs. So Skubal's over 6.5 Ks. You might want to look there too. I'm not a big fan of the K props just because the juice is so expensive. But Tigers bottom 7 in batting average, OPS, WRC plus. I love this sweat here, taking the first 5 under 3.5 with both of these teams.
Tell me what is you're in Atlanta, so tell me what is the vibe on Max Fried with his 18 ERA? He has not looked good here. This was a guy they were anticipating to be, him and Strider. Well, Strider's gone, but he was supposed to anchor this. Is it just a slow start? Is there anything we should be worried about here? I mean, they're taking on the Marlins. If he can't win that game, what are we doing here?
Put it this way. I think Max Fried should be more worried about his start than the Braves are, because he's in a contract year. So probably not a good way to get paid $150 million by struggling out the gate. But I think he'll right himself. Look, he didn't face the Marlins last year because of injury. He didn't, only pitched the back half of the season. Faced them twice in 2022, went 11 total innings, allowed just 1 run, 6 hits, and struck out 11. Interesting part about this, Braves dominated this series with the Marlins, especially over the last few seasons. Joe, they're 42-22 since 2020 against Miami overall. Last year, they were 9-4. All 9 Braves wins were by at least 2 runs. They outscored them 79-24 in their wins. Now, 3 of the 4 Marlins wins came in a series that was in late September. The Braves had locked everything up. There were minor league guys starting. It didn't matter. But furthermore, the Marlins are dead last in batting average against lefties this season, batting $173. They've hit just 2 home runs. They're also last in OPS and WRC plus against lefties. I think the Braves bat should bounce back against Trevor Rogers, who's given up 12 hits and 7 runs in 10 innings over his first 2 starts. Miami also has the 3rd highest bullpen ERA and whip on the year. So the Braves bats don't quit. Like, if you're going to play against the Braves, you can only play first 5 because they keep scoring. It's not a great bet to lay 1.5 here, but given I'm only minus 108 to do it, I think the spot's too much for me to pass up. Fried should get right, but the Braves bats here should do more than enough to cover 2 runs.
Are we laying the 1.5 with the Dodgers tonight, late night against the Padres?
No, I want to take the over there, believe it or not. I think they're going to score runs again.
Yep. Michael King, I believe, on a mound for the Padres
and
there. We'll see how long.
These 2 guys had like 15 runs given up in their last start together.
I know. That's a great.
Granted, it was in a foreign country.
Too. Yep.
Yeah, granted,
but
apparently
still.
the pitching arms didn't clear customs, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep. 10 wins for the Dodgers, 7 for the Padres. Not a lot separating them at this particular point, but it's a long season. It's going to be a long weekend. Zin, we appreciate it, man. Cash those tickets tonight. Game Time Decisions returns next here on the Grid.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. A very happy Friday to you as we get ready for a Masters weekend, one that will include Tiger Woods. So Tiger fans got to be excited as he looks like he is well under the cut here. He will play Saturday and Sunday. It's getting very cramped up at the top of the leaderboard. We'll have more on the Masters coming up next, I don't know, in about 40 minutes from now when good old Brady Cannon tells us how we should look at Xander Schauffele again. In the meantime, we're going to look at George Kurtz here. And George, we're doing in-game live last night, and we felt for you because I know you and Cam Stewart were at the Islander game, and we were there, you being the Islander fan, and Cam being the Toronto fan, which had to be absolutely nauseating watching them blow that game last night to the Devils here. But Islanders got it done. You said it was a profitable night there, joining forces, the both of you. Was it collectively, like on the ride home? Was it a pleasant ride home? Did you cash enough tickets to make it worth going?
Actually, it paid for itself, right? So I guess it did cash enough tickets to make it worth going there. Cam had a much better night. I don't know if Cam lost a bet. Like I said, he pretty much swept the board last night. He had the correct score of the Islander game. He told me before the game, 3-2 Islanders tonight. 3-2 Islanders. Let's take the under. So we were all on the under. We told Lisi to take the under too. He wanted to take the over. I hope Joe Lisi listened to us there. But we were on the under in the Islander game there. Listen. The Maple Leafs may have lost. If those who don't know, Cam is a big Maple Leafs fan, but he was on the over in the game. He had nothing on the game itself. He goes, I'm going the over in this game. Yes, he was great. He was on Pittsburgh to win as well here. Cam had a very profitable night.
Yeah, well, Cam's he's a very realistic Maple Leafs fan because he knows how this is going to end, ultimately in total failure and flames. So let's talk about some of these games here tonight, and I believe the Edmonton. It looks like Edmonton's still not playing the big gun there in their game against the Coyotes. They're still a $3 favorite at home against Arizona here. But can you look at Edmonton? I mean, they did it without him against Vegas the other night, right? What about tonight?
Well, this game is still important to Edmonton. How important depends on how much they feel, how much they want to go after first place in the division. All right, for those who don't realize, Edmonton has 5 games left in the last 7 days of the season starting tonight. Weird scheduling. 5 games in 7 days. The NHL regular season ends next Thursday. Edmonton's, 4 points behind Vancouver, 2 games in hand. So theoretically, they control their own destiny here. They play Vancouver tomorrow. So maybe they're resting McDavid to play tomorrow. McDavid had a quote today saying, I'm not going to play tonight, boys. We'll see about tomorrow. Edmonton's going to make a decision. Really, so does McDavid. What's more important, going for first place or making sure McDavid's 100% healthy for the playoffs? And for me, it's always about, make sure McDavid's healthy. All right, you should be able to beat Arizona tonight either way. All right, maybe you can beat, you'll take care of Vancouver tonight without McDavid. I think 2 of their last 3 games are against bottom feeders. Maybe it's San Jose. So they're not really playing anybody here. Rest McDavid, get him healthy here. You might get first place anyway here. So I want to parlay tonight with Edmonton and Nashville. I don't feel great about it, because McDavid's not playing. I didn't know. I wasn't positive about that when I made the bet. And also now I found out maybe a half hour ago that Saros isn't playing in net for Nashville. Thanks, boys. Lycan is a good, solid goaltender, but I'd be a lot happier with Saros.
So what were you thinking with that game with the Blackhawks and the Predators here tonight? Total was 6, I believe, here. Are you leaning over in this one now, or what are you thinking?
It's so tough with the Blackhawks. They are playing better than they were, let's say, in February, right? But also, as I keep saying, this is the last week of the season, right? Teams are starting to, make those vacation plans, packing their lockers here. They want to get out here. So I just wonder if they're going to lay an egg. The game doesn't really mean all that much to Nashville either. They're going to the playoffs. They know that. They're pretty much locked in here. So I do worry about that. That being said, Nashville against Chicago. They should take care of business here. I'm not going to touch the total. It wouldn't shock me if this is a 3-0 final, 3-1, something around there. But it also wouldn't shock me if this Nashville just blows them out. It's 6-1, something like that. So I'm going to leave the total alone. I'll take Nashville, though. I would take them on the goal line if I didn't have them in a parlay already.
Now, am I mistaken, or since Vegas has completely thrown up all over themselves, the Blues still have an outside shot of it's kind of hard to believe, but I think they do. I still think they have a chance. They got to beat the Hurricanes at home here tonight, but Vegas has been so inept. They've allowed the Blues to actually take this game seriously tonight.
Exactly. Imagine if the Blues had beaten the Sharks. Remember, they can't beat the Sharks, for crying out loud, how close this would be. But St. Louis has 3 games left. They're 3 points behind Vegas, so they're a game and a half behind as far as you're thinking baseball or in basketball terms. A game and a half behind here. So they're not, they couldn't do it here. One thing we have to remember, Vegas has 4 games left. All right, so realistically, St. Louis has to win out. That would get them to 95 points. And then, even then, Vegas only has to go 500, and they get 96. So do they have a chance? Sure. Are they going to get in? I highly doubt it.
It's Bennington, I believe, back in net here tonight for St. Louis, so we'll see. But speaking of Vegas, how much faith do you have tonight that they're going to hand? I believe Stone is back now, too, as well, or at least healthy enough to get on the ice. But what do we do with Vegas here, welcoming in Minnesota in the late-night game?
Yeah, probably no Zuccarello tonight for Minnesota, by the way. He's out. That's a nice loss there if you're a Vegas fan. It's hard to trust Vegas. All right, Stone is not playing. He's back at practice. He will not return any earlier than game 1 because they don't have the cap room to get him in there. It's the big, I don't want to call it controversy, but the big work around the cap here. Stone has a huge cap hit. He lacerated his spleen, I believe it was, which is a legitimate injury, by the way. But boy, Joe, nice and convenient that he's going to be healthy for game 1 of the playoffs. Where there's no cap in the playoffs in the NHL. You can have a $100 million. Nobody cares. So I guess good timing and all that. Like I said, if you want to play Vegas tonight, and I do, it'd be a small play. I do not trust the Golden Knights. It's hard to. You don't know which team's going to show up. No Peter Angelo tonight. He's their best defenseman. They just did re-sign Hanford to a big, I think it was an 8-year deal yesterday. So he'll be in the fold for the next 8 years with the squad here. Like I said, small play on Vegas. They should win. Minnesota has nothing to play for. No Zuccarello. But like I said, I've been thinking this for a lot about Vegas. That being said, by the way, no one's going to be thrilled about playing Vegas in the first round of the playoffs here. If they're completely healthy and playing their game, good luck to Vancouver, or Dallas, whoever gets them in round 1.
Yeah, I think I think Tampa did that with Kucherov the other year too, didn't they? Like all
it
of a sudden,
started years ago with Chicago. Chicago started this.
Oh, yeah, well, that's exactly. So this is not new how they've been working this, and all of a sudden they got fresh legs and a fresh superstar showing up for the playoffs. It's pretty funny here. All right, Major League Baseball here tonight. Yankees were rained out already. You're keeping an eye on the Tampa Bay Rays here tonight. What's going on?
No, I'm not on the Rays. I'm on the Jays. So let's switch a letter there.
Oh, the Jays. I'm sorry, not the Rays. The Jays. Yes, there you go. Yeah. How can you really? Over or the win?
No, all over the win here. I think the over, they might get there by themselves. All right. And also, listen, if you want to go the over, Kevin Gausman looked terrible against the Yankees. His velocity was way down. But, they say this has happened in past years. That once again, his first couple of starts in April, he has to build up. Maybe he has dead arm. We know that is the thing here. That being said, I think the Jays wrecked the Rockies tonight. So you want to go the over in the game. I didn't go the over in the game. I went the Jays. I have them in a parlay. I have them on the run line. I have Vladimir Guerrero over 1.5 total bases. I want to add Dante Bichette to that as well. And Bo Bichette, showing my age there with his follow. Bo Bichette to that as well here, as far as getting over 1.5 bases. Maybe a home run prop. You can talk me into a home run prop with Vladimir as well. I just think they smoke Colorado tonight.
Yeah, that's what I had looked at the over. I'm like, this just feels like this could be even a team total over all day long here for Toronto. They get that ball lifted up in Colorado. It should be against those pitchers, and that pitching staff is just absolutely terrible. All right, did you look? Where else were you looking on the card here tonight? Not a lot of great number ones versus number ones, but we'll get a few of those over the weekend. So what are you thinking about here tonight?
So there are places to bet here. I like the Reds tonight. Once again, we're picking on the bad teams, right? We're just picking on the bad teams here, which is what I generally like to do here. So I like the Reds tonight. I'm going to parlay them. And I'm not saying San Diego's a bad team, by the way, but I'm going to parlay them with the Dodgers tonight. I think Yamamoto Joe's going to get a little bit of revenge for that poor start against San Diego in Korea. And by poor start, I mean freaking atrocious start. All right, he was just terrible, but whether it was nerves or whatever it might be here, who knows? I don't care. I just think he gets a much better start tonight here. So I said, I got the Jays all over the place. I got Vladimir Guerrero. I got Bichette here. I got Toronto and Atlanta in a parlay as well here. I think the Braves will take care of business against Miami. I think the Braves might be a little upset. So to use a different term here, but a little upset after playing poorly against the against the New York Mets for 2 out of 3 there. I think they get a little revenge here. Fried worries me a little bit tonight for Atlanta. Right, he's been awful as well here. You wonder if he's dealing with something. But I'm on that parlay as well. Cincinnati Reds have a Dodgers parlay here. Like I said, I'll have others for late as well here. If a Dodger game, more than likely going to play maybe an Ohtani over 1.5 base, maybe over to maybe a home run prop for Ohtani to get some plus money there. Bets could be in that as well. That's almost a standard play every night with the Dodgers. You know they're going to hit. All right, they generally do here. Just get the right guy. Is it? It's almost always Ohtani. Is it Betts? Is it a Freeman night? Do you want to go a little further and get really plus money, banking on maybe a Muncy or a Will Smith? How about Teoscar Hernandez? You can have a lot of fun with the Dodgers prop bets.
So wait, so you like attacking the bad teams? So how are we betting Washington and Oakland? Because they both have more wins at this point.
Doesn't that cancel each other out?
I didn't even have 5 wins when they got at the end of May, and they both have 5 wins already here, Kurtz. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think if listen, these are 2 bad teams, right? No one's going to argue these are 2 bad teams.
Are they though?
They are. They are bad teams. Trust me. They are bad teams. All right. So 2 bad teams place each other. Don't we take the plus money? Is it that way we should go? That's where I'm going anyway. I'll take the plus money here.
How are you beating the Rangers 1-0? Like, I wanted to take the over, and now I'm like, I can't. They got Blackburn on the mound. I'm like, I can't even take that. These 2 teams absolutely mine. And how much you want to make a bet? All 3 of these games this week are going to be extra innings. Every one of them going to be extra innings here, just because they want to screw with all of us. But I didn't have these 2 teams 5-7, 5-8 at this point. I thought they'd be more like the Marlins with 1 or 2 wins, maybe. But my goodness here. And do we have enough faith in Fried, who's got it? Did you see that ERA? It's 18, Kurt.
18.
He's got an 18 ERA. Like, even the Marlins can hit that. You got to be kidding. Oh, my goodness.
They're awful. The bottom line is this.
No.
I don't know if Fried's going to pitch well. I just think that the Braves are going to light up Rodgers. And once they get to that bullpen, it's all about
That's a guess.
So that's where I'm going with this. I think Fried will get hit. By the way, you mentioned this, and I didn't think, what's the over in this game? 8.5? If Fried gets hit, that should be reachable. You're paying for it, minus 120, which I don't love here. But Fried's not going to – I don't think he's going to pitch a gem. So if he gets up 5+ innings, 3 runs, only needs 6 runs from Atlanta, I think it's more than reachable here. I like the over in that game as well.
That's a tough ballpark to get runs in, though. It's got to be over the fence, and it's not known for its crazy big run games, kind of like Tampa's the same way there. But if anybody can do it, the Braves can, for sure. Kurt, cash those tickets. Game Time Decisions will be back next on...
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There's going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we wrap up this first hour here. We got much more still to get to as Major League Baseball off and running. Almost didn't recognize the Phillies in the uniforms they're wearing here tonight, but they are home taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nothing there in the top of the second. We also have no score with the Tampa Bay Rays hosting the Giants here tonight, but a whole lot of first pitches coming up here in just a few, not to mention the NBA will be off and running with a loaded slate tonight. In the Masters, a quick update. It's, I'm telling you, Scotty Scheffler has been laboring around this back nine right now. We thought maybe he would start to pull away, but it has not been great. He birdied the 10th only to give it back on the par 5 13th, and now he's scrambling big time with pars just to make par as he heads to the 16th hole here. Still a couple more to go. The cut is at +5 right now, and there are an awful lot of very familiar names hanging around that cut line. Will they or won't they? I can tell you, it looks like somebody's going to have to make a putt here. Ricky Fowler is at 6 over. He'll have a putt for birdie, and that was just to get him to play into the weekend. Victor Hovland also has to get something going. He's at +6. These are some big-name guys here that we thought might make some noise here. Adam Scott, former champion, too. He's at 6 over. Justin Rose. Nick Dunlap, Sungjae Im. You go down the list here. Brian Harmon, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns. None of these guys. Bubba Watson will be playing this weekend, but you know who will? Tiger Woods. Yep, Tiger Woods hanging out +1. He will be there Saturday and Sunday. Health willing, but we'll have much more on the Masters coming up as another hour of Game Time Decisions is next here on the Grid. welcome back in. It is Game Time Decisions, another hour here on the SportsGrid Network, and we've got plenty to get to. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you hanging out with us here tonight as we've got the Masters guys finishing up on the course here today. We'll get you caught up with all that. Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, and let us not forget soccer. No better way to kick off the second hour here of Game Time Decisions than with a same game parlay, little Premier League style with none other than, well, just play it. Same game parlay. Let's see what we got here tonight.
All right, we've got a little bit of a different FanDuel same game parlay here tonight. We're going to move to Saturday morning to the English Premier League with Liverpool playing against Crystal Palace. We are going to begin this Saturday morning SGP by taking the deep Liverpool money line and also the over on 3.5 goals. I'm expecting Eberechi Eze to play quite well for Crystal Palace in this match. I think that's a difficult matchup for Liverpool's fullbacks, but of course, Liverpool, one of the most dominant offensive teams in the entire world. And we're also going to take their mercurial left winger / striker, Darwin Nunez, as an anytime goal scorer in this match. This 3-leg same game parlay is going to give us plus 257 odds as Liverpool attempts to try and win the English Premier League. They're going to have to basically win every game for the remainder of the season. Liverpool money line over 3.5 goals, and one of my favorite forwards in all of world football, Darwin Nunez, as an anytime goal scorer. Good luck on Saturday, everybody.
All right, Davis, appreciate it. No better way to get the weekend started than with a little same-game parlay in the Premier League style here. We've got plenty of soccer, actually, coming up over the next couple of weeks. We've got plenty of Major League Baseball starting here tonight. Couple of games already underway. A whole lot more getting ready to start, not to mention the NBA trying to wrap up the regular season and move on to the playoffs here. And we got a whole bunch of games starting in the 7 o'clock hour here as the Bulls and Wizards. Good luck identifying anybody in that game that you might have ever heard of playing in it here tonight, as the Bulls pretty much locked into the play-in spot, and the Wizards, well, they have tea time booked here as we welcome in our radio audience. Welcome in on this Friday to Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you hanging with us here as loaded slate tonight. We've got a ton of NBA action. Magic and the Sixers waiting here on whether Embiid is going to be playing there. The Magic were the talk of the town here for most of this season. Most improved team. We thought there was going to be an opportunity for them to get as high as the number 3 seed, but the wheels have kind of fallen off here down the stretch. They'll be taking on the 76ers, and again, we're only waiting to hear on whether or not Embiid will be playing. He was questionable in this one earlier today, and it looks like he is in, and so is Tyrese Maxey for that matter. He also is going, so that game has now dropped down to 6.5 here, from 7.5 down to 6.5, maybe even a 6, as it looks like nobody is showing up on the Orlando injury report. So you might get a maximum effort here tonight from Orlando to try and get a couple of wins here to finish off the season. The New York Knicks coming up, bottom of the hour against the Nets, and then the Celtics with absolutely nothing to play for. We'll be taking on the Hornets, but the game that I think does have a little juice is going to be this Cavs-Pacers game coming up at the bottom of this hour, too, in Cleveland, as the Cavs are laying 2.5 right now against the Indiana Pacers, who, they kind of want to make sure they stay in that 6 seed here and don't go anyplace else, given the fact that they have kind of been on again, off again here, the Pacers. We know there's not going to be any defense. The Cavs have been absolutely horrific down the stretch. Donovan Mitchell looks like a shell of his former self before he got injured there right after the All-Star break. It has not been a good run for the Cavs. They have not played solid defense, but they certainly have been able to score even without Donovan Mitchell in the lineup here. He'll be a go here tonight. The Pacers, we know what kind of defense we're going to get from them. This was 4.5, and I'm starting to see 2s now, even 2.5 here with a total of 231. That game, again, means a lot to both teams. It's one of the few where both sides have a little something to play for. You're not going to get that with the Lakers and Grizzlies, nor are you going to get that with the Hawks and Timberwolves, although Minnesota would certainly like the ability to maybe lock up and make sure that they are going to get no worse than the number 2 seed, because Denver, yeah, they look pretty much lock-loaded and ready to go here. They're taking on the Spurs, and again, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of effort out of one of those sides. The Bucks and Thunder, when's the last time you saw the Milwaukee Bucks getting 15 points? That's exactly what's happened. No Lillard. Giannis out until at least they hope the playoffs. Looks like the Thunder have got everybody available to them. And good luck laying 14.5, 15 points with the Miami Heat tonight, taking on the Raptors, with another one of these teams in which we have no idea who's going to be playing for Toronto. Nobody's heard of any of these people. But the Heat have not been good as of late. Kind of a bounce-back spot for them here. Would not shock me if the Heat absolutely bulldozed them. But I'm more inclined to think an under in this game might be the best look here in Miami. Win and move on. And that's kind of what you hope you get there. Warriors taking on the Pelicans here tonight. Suns and Kings. And then, of course, the Jazz will round it out with a little night game on the road against the L.A. Clippers. So plenty going on in the NBA here tonight. And we'll keep you posted as far as once these games tip off. We'll let you know what's happening there. We told you about Major League Baseball, and we got plenty of Masters coming up here. Our good friend Brady Cannon, he's going to stop by. We're going to check in on this scoreboard, a scoreboard in which might have surprised a few people, as Bryson DeChambeau still at the top of the leaderboard, -6. He was 1 over 73 today in his round. Max Homa, big day, finishing up his first round and then firing a 71 here today. 6 under par, Max Homa. And, of course, you know who, Scotty Scheffler, 6 under par, but he has been scrambling, to say the least, here on the back 9. He is at the 16th, the par 3. He still has the 17th and, of course, the 18th to go here. Can he birdie one of these holes and have the lead when we start round 3 tomorrow morning? So a lot to dive into on the Masters. We'll take a look at some of the guys, some of the prices, who made the cut, who didn't make the cut. A lot to go over here as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid. Come back and join us.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics to win it. all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times, and Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early
The
line.
magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Happy Friday to you. A lot going on this weekend. Major League Baseball, the end of the NBA regular season, NHL. Let's not forget it is a Masters weekend and some interesting scores here today. It is cut day, right? So who's in, who's out? Here to help us make heads and tails of it all, our good friend Brady Cannon here. And really, I guess we'll get it out of the way here, Brady. Yes, Tiger's going to make the cut, so much for that bet. But the list of guys who are not, or that are actually still on the golf course, who might not even make the cut, is pretty extensive, because you and I talked a lot about these guys during the week here. Victor Hovland is one. Tom Kim's another one. Ricky Fowler. Jordan Spieth. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Russell Henley. I know a ton of guys that thought that putter would be great for him this week. So the list is extensive of who's not playing here come this weekend.
No, you're right. I mean, it is so difficult out there, Joe, and it was really hard yesterday, probably even more brutal later into the day yesterday than it was earlier, and maybe similar here today, where the early wave may have been a little bit easier this morning, but boy, is it difficult out there now. The wind really pumping up, just like we saw yesterday afternoon. You know, I think it's a pretty steady 20-mile-an-hour breeze with gusts up to 30. Who knows? Maybe they're touching 40. But you've got Wyndham Clark, the defending U.S. Open champ, right on the bubble. He's got 4 holes left to play. He's at 5 over par.
Yep.
That is the cut line right now. That'll get you to the weekend if you can hold on to 5. 6 might get in, but I don't think so. I just don't think there's enough guys left on the course. Rory McIlroy at 4 over par with 2 left to play, 2 very difficult holes. The 17th and the 18th is playing really hard today. That seems like, you know, that I got to believe that one's playing about 4.5 strokes over par right now, the 18th hole. You've also got Victor Hovland. We joked about how all over the place he was yesterday, and it's more been to the negative today. He's got 4 holes left and is on the wrong side of the cut line at +6. But I tell you what, you know, after going through these types of conditions on Thursday and Friday, everybody's going to kind of be able to exhale a little bit over the weekend, and it's going to be good and bad. The good part is the wind is supposed to die down substantially. You're looking at the breezes maxing out at about 10 miles an hour. Maybe you'll get a 15-mile-an-hour gust. It looks like it might even be a little less than that on Sunday. But, you know, this will be a walk in the park as far as the wind versus what they faced the first 2 days. However, at the same time, because no moisture and all of that wind, the greens are going to get firmer, they're going to get crispier, and the fairways were going to get faster and drier as well. So the golf course itself will probably become more difficult, but the conditions will become substantially easier. What I like about that is you're going to have a good balance. You're going to still have double bogeys out there at any minute. But at the same time, I think it also gives guys we're going to see some guys in the field, I believe, over the weekend make a run. I think a charge is now possible. You can't make a charge in these conditions. Ludwig Åberg shot the lowest round of the day, 69, 3 under par. I think over the weekend, you're going to see some possible 5, 6, 7 under par charges by these guys, and that ought to make the back nine on Sunday really thrilling.
Yeah, well, moving to will be good. I mean, you just got to kind of survive this wind here today because watching, Scotty had the lead at 7 under. DeChambeau kind of missed a couple of big opportunities on the back with the short stick, but he finished at 6 under par. Homa had already been in. Max Homa had already been in at 6 under, so Scotty had 7 holes left to go, and you're going, oh, boy, he's going to be 9 under. By the time they start tomorrow, he's going to have a 3, 4. But he has been scrambling just to make par here on these closing holes, and he's not the only one. But if 6 under looks like it's going to hold, so how far can we look down the board here? How many shots do you think are realistic to make up with those names up at the top of this board at 6 and 4 under?
I tell you what, I think even 1 over par is probably still live. I mean, 1 over par, you got Tiger there. I don't think he's going to do, but Xander Schauffele, 1 over par. I mean, we joke sometimes about Schauffele because he never seems to find the winner's circle. This guy's played darn good golf in these conditions. To be just 1 over par for 2 days, he's made some great scrambling pars today. Brooks Koepka's sitting there at 2 over. Tyrrell Hatton had an awful day today. He came back in the morning. He was 3 under par when you and I were talking yesterday. Now he's 2 over. So 7 shots back, I think, is possible. The tough part about it, Joe, is because the conditions are going to, quote unquote, get easier. They're not going to get a lot easier, but we talked about that. The weather is going to get much more friendly for these players. The tough part about that is the weather's much more friendly for the leaders, too. So they're probably not going to be giving as many strokes back to the pack. It's going to have to be a charge on moving day, on Sunday, to try and catch these guys because, they're probably going to make a bogey here and there, but for the most part, they're probably going to be much improved over the weekend as well. So, when conditions are benign, it's tough to catch the front runners, and somebody's going to have to make a big effort to do it. 7 shots off the pace right now is a big ask, but I think even par or better is realistic. A couple guys that I like, I love what Colin Morikawa has done the first 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy came in here not in form at all. I was sitting there last weekend. I saw the price on him all the way close to like 50 to 1. I'm like, God, that's a big number on this kid who's one of the best players in the world. And I said, the form, it's not there. And I stayed away. And my premonition was on the right track here. 71-70. I love how he's been consistent. Hasn't been too far off the norm there, So I like him going into the weekend. Åberg, I like going into the weekend. Just 4 shots off the pace. Tommy Fleetwood, this guy has proven he can play in the wind. Joe, we went over this yesterday. Here's your top 10 guys right now live for strokes gained tee to green. Sepp Straka, Max Homa, Ludwig Åberg, Ryan Fox, Adam Scott, Keegan Bradley, Shane Lowry's another guy I think could possibly have a low round in him. Pavone, Grayson Murray of all people. And then Hatton and Scheffler is currently 12th. So, I mean, I think Homa's going to be there. This guy won at Riviera. We know that's a correlated course. I mentioned Schauffele. I think he's going to be around. Morikawa, Åberg. I think some of the bigger names are going to start to show themselves towards the top of the leaderboard over the weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and we should say, I mean, listen, I didn't think DeChambeau would hold up today, but he's driving the ball insane, and in this kind of wind and his length, I mean, it's always been his advantage over everybody. But he utilized it here at this course where he's kind of kept himself out of trouble because he can hit the damn ball so far there. So what chance do you give him to be able to be there on a Sunday on the back nine?
I think he's got a great chance. It seems like he's got a better head on his shoulders these days, if you know what I mean. You know, he's maybe a little bit humbled. His focus seems more in tune with the golf tournament rather than, what's going on at the science lab with his nutrition and his clubs and the live circuit and everything. He doesn't seem so hypersensitive. But the one thing that's eluding him, you mentioned off the tee, that's where he's gaining strokes big time. Around the greens, he has not been good. The putter's been decent, but he's got a couple of holes right now. We can talk about this a little more on the other side. Off the tee, absolutely his biggest weapon right now. If that holds up, he'll probably continue to have his name up towards the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Might be a betting opportunity. We'll talk more about it next here in Game Time Decisions.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions. Here is the Masters off and running, heading into the weekend. Cut line hovering around that 6 mark here, +6. Tiger Woods sets the Masters record here, and I got to give him credit because he had to scratch. This was a long day of golf for him, and he ends up, I believe, 1 over par. Great job by him. He will be there for the record 24th straight weekend here at Augusta. He shot 72 after having to finish off the first round here. Give the guy credit. I mean, we talked about it yesterday there, Brady, where we were like, it hurts watching him play. Like, it's just, everything is like a grimace, and it's like, oh my goodness, he's going to fall over. But, man, he gutted it out there today in those conditions. And now he gets to play in on the weekend. So, kudos. Can he, dare I say, could he be a top 10, top 20 guy this weekend?
Boy, I tell you what, Joe, I mean, you know, this I think, in my mind, in my experience of watching Tiger Woods, of course, there's the, you know, loads and loads and miles of highlight reel and spectacular and dominance and stuff. This is as impressive as anything. I mean, what he did, and like you say, I mean, it was the very first hole. It looked like he could hardly walk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this doesn't look good. He makes it to the weekend. He's 1 over par. He's beaten a lot of big names out here, and he does it in that wind, plays 23 holes today. Boy, yeah, hats off to this guy. I know it cost you a bet. It cost a lot of people a bet that he made this cut, but you know, the fan in us, it's pretty cool that he is around here for the weekend. And he's in a dogfight with that matchup, that head-to-head matchup with Mickelson. He's beaten him by 3 shots right now. You know, the sharp play going into the Masters, going into this tournament, pre-tournament, was Woods to miss the cut and Mickelson to beat him head-to-head. Well, right now, the book is getting healthy on Tiger Woods making the cut. And right now, like I say, with a 3-shot advantage over Mickelson, where is he at +1 here? He's 21st. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is, Joe, if you're gonna bet him, you probably got to go top 10 because you're gonna pay. You're always paying a premium on Tiger, and to finish top 20, that's probably really expensive. Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question. I mean, the way he's gone so far,
as long as it's warm and the weather cooperates, it would be the rain and the other thing that would wreak havoc there on his back. But I think kudos to him. And this is the one golf course where the way he can, you know, you can shape the ball, keep it low, keep it out of the wind. He knows every part of this golf course. So this is the one course in which I think might be worth, if he's making the cut, it might be worth a top 10. Crazier things will happen. And by the way, wouldn't the Masters love on a Sunday where Tiger, they can put him on camera the entire damn tournament there and blow as much smoke as humanly possible towards him here. But we do have Schauffele finishing up here, has an opportunity for a birdie on the 17th to get back to even par. And to your point, I'll tell you this. The fact that he's not leading and he's not at the leaderboard heading into the weekend, I think it's a green light to bet him to get it going here this weekend, because his problems are when he's in front playing and then he can't seem to close it. But I got no problem with Xander putting it together as the round goes on, which kind of looks like what he's been able to do here the first couple of days.
He's been very impressive. You know, Rory has been all over the place, and, you know, he dumped it in the water on 11, and he just has been really off. He played pretty well. He was all over the place on Thursday too, but he still managed a round under par. He's been much more erratic today, and it's led to bogeys. But at the same time, in that group, Scheffler and Schauffele have been extremely impressive in keeping this thing under control, because, you know, this round can get away from you in a hurry with these conditions. And, by the way, the cut line just went to 6. The 6s are in right now. I was going to say, talking about Tiger for a top 10 or a top 20, Xander, any of these guys that make the cut, have a good shot at top 20, because for a minute there was only going to be 50 guys in the field for the weekend. Now you've got all these +6s, so there's 61 guys. I mean, so you're talking 10 or 11 players on the bubble here. That's a big deal when you're making these top 10, top 20 bets, because like I say, these guys, Finau, Justin Thomas, Joaquin Neiman, some of these guys at +4, +5, if the cut stays at 5, those guys all have a very good chance to finish top 20. They've only got to surpass another 20, 25 guys.
Yep. Well, let's talk about a few other names on this board heading into the weekend. You do have, I believe there's one more hole here to play, and Xander's back to even par. But how about the U.S. Open champ there, Fitzpatrick? All of a sudden seems to have figured it out. He was a guy, I know, a very popular pick. A lot of guys in the top 10 spot here. Maybe if he could put it all together. He's hovering around at -1 right now. He's in 8th. He's another guy that has already proven he can get it done in a major down the stretch here. He might be worth a look-see here this weekend. What have you seen from him?
Very sharp play pre-tournament was Matt Fitzpatrick. And like you say, especially for some of those finish position bets, top 10, top 20, and he's lived up to the billing. Absolutely. I think what this says the most to me about what Fitzpatrick has done is how good is this guy in the wind? We know he's an Englishman. We know he's played on the European tour. How well does he play tough golf courses? How well does he play in the wind? There's proof. There's your answer right there. One under par, even on his round today. Yeah, he is really golfing his ball absolutely for the first 2 days. And I'm with you. Maybe if you can find a market for top 5 out there, and he's still live to win the darn thing. He's one of these guys that could put together a 65 or something like that over the weekend. We went over it a little bit earlier briefly. I think Morikawa is live. I think Oberg is live. I like Homa. Fitzpatrick's another one of those guys. The Masters has a way of somehow the cream seems to rise to the top. So like I say, I think the weekend we're going to see some of these bigger names move their way on up and stick around. The question with Homa, I think, is can he handle this spotlight? He's never been here before. He's not done well at the Masters before. I was on with Scott Farrell earlier, and I mentioned that said a lot to me when he made that putt to earn a point for the U.S. in the Ryder Cup. That was a big putt. I think it was about a 10-footer, and he grinded over that thing for about 10 minutes before he let it go. And he said that was the biggest pressure moment of his career, that putt, or the biggest pressure putt he'd ever faced in his career, and he nailed it. I think that goes a long way into a situation like this. He's a winner at Riviera. We know the connection there with Augusta. I think Max is going to hold up pretty well and be in the conversation as well.
Yeah, we've seen nothing from his game thus far to think that he's going to go anywhere but up at the top of that leaderboard here. The thing that impresses me about Fitzpatrick is he's got 16 pars on the day when everyone else's card. It's got square, it's got circle here and there. It's like he's been steady Uddy, and that's the kind of thing you want to look for heading into a weekend, because you don't want guys that are just that all over the map. They got a double bogey. Oh, they got an eagle. They got, give me steady Eddie in a major anytime here. But there's got to be some guys, Cam Davis sitting there at 3. Hojgaard there sitting at 4 under par. Kind of hard to trust some of those names in this spot. Not to mention, how much do you put into the pairings now heading into the weekend, right? It was impossible. Who's playing with Tiger? Good luck. That's going to be a lot of fun, those galleries.
Absolutely. No, you're right. It's a good point about playing with Tiger. I even kind of noticed it out of Max Homa and Jason Day. I think sometimes they were just looking over going, gosh, are we a fan or are we part of this tournament?
Crazy.
Yeah. Homa even said it. He said, I kind of had to pinch myself a couple times going, what am I watching here? And it goes to what I was saying about how impressive it was what Tiger did. But you bring up a good point. Cam Davis had a great PGA championship last year at Oak Hill. I think he finished 4th. That was his highest finish ever in a major. So he's had a little bit of that experience, playing great so far. He's a guy I don't expect to hang around, but he does have that past experience. Ryan Fox, missed 5 cuts of 8 starts coming in. I didn't expect this out of him. Pavone, he wins the Farmers Insurance at Torrey Pines. Højgaard was right there with Pavone, finished runner-up at Torrey Pines. Now, Højgaard shot a 73 today, so I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. But, I don't know who we're going to see fall off. I just know what we typically see out of the Masters, and I think you make a great point with Fitzpatrick about being steady Eddie. Same thing for Colin Morikawa. You like that clean card.
Yep.
You don't like to see anything too far off the spectrum. If putting is keeping these guys alive by the skin of their teeth, that's not a good sign. But I'm not sure of the lesser knowns who's going to fall off, but I do think some of the star power is going to find themselves towards the top.
So somebody's got to shoot a number early, right? You got to think that somebody's got to get a number posted. And the question is, what is that number going to be? Or do we have a 65 tomorrow early to kind of put the heat on the top of these guys, Brady?
I think we do. It's going to have to be, a 65, a 66, something like that. Rahm's still here. He's obviously capable of that. I think Finau is. You've got Neiman. You've got Thigala, Jason Day. There's a lot of names down deep on that leaderboard that could put together a low one.
Be a heck of a weekend at Augusta. Brady, we appreciate it. We'll be back. Game Time Decisions.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in. It is Game Time Decisions on this Friday on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Certainly appreciate you stopping by as they are finishing up round 2 at Augusta. We'll let you know what the final standings are here. One thing we know for sure, Tiger Woods will be playing this weekend, which should be great for the television ratings here. And the only question now is, will Scottie Scheffler birdie the 18th and take the outright lead, or will he, Max Homa and Bryson DeChambeau, go into tomorrow all tied at 6 under par? A lot going on there. And, of course, Major League Baseball underway right now. We've got a couple of games of interest here, and a lot of teams jumping right out and early here. The Pirates are up 2-0 over the Phillies, and serves them right for wearing those disgusting uniforms. I mean, I don't know if they lost a bet or what that was, but, dare I say I would actually do anything for a Pittsburgh Pirate hat right now instead of looking at these disgustingness that the Phillies are wearing here. Oh, look at that. See, all you have to do is ask, apparently, and Dave Sharapan shows up and delivers. And there it is. What the hell is this uniform they're wearing in Philadelphia? Serves them right for losing.
Haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Is
it bad?
Okay. Well, then you let me know. If you would have seen this from a distance, you'd have been like, that's the Phillies. That's the Phillies.
This is the City Connect. Are they wearing the blue? Yeah. I was just
blue,
there
it's
last
teal
week.
and black. Like what?
Yeah, it's like a fade to black with the top is blue
awful.
and it all. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. So you don't like it? I haven't. I'm literally
No.
finishing watching the second round of the Masters here, trying
No.
to see who's making the cut, who's making the knot.
No.
The jury's out on those. Not sure.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Got the
Absolutely.
whole explanation of that. When I was in Philadelphia, with the hats are great. The Liberty, the bell,
right,
is one thing, but the colors, the print, they're not sure. I don't know.
It's yellow.
I got the Pirates
like
tonight
it's
anyway.
just.
I need the Pirates.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There.
Yeah.
Pirates are up 2-0 early in that one. The Giants
Yes.
and Rays knotted up 1 apiece. The Brewers, again, a lot of teams jumping out early. Brewers 3-0 on the road against the Orioles. The Blue Jays 2-1 over the Rockies quickly. The Braves put 1 on the first inning, and Kansas City out in front of the Mets 1-0 early. So a lot of and the Angels hit a 3-run shot to go up 3-0 over the Red Sox early. So a lot of early runs in these games here, Dave.
How about the Kansas City Royals? How good are they playing
Love 'em.
right now? Hottest team in baseball. Dogs again today. And, this is one of those things. I don't know how good the Mets are. I really don't know how good the Royals are going to be all season. But I know right now there's no hotter team in baseball. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that the Royals were plus money this morning. So, 1-0. I just clicked refresh on my scoreboard here.
Quickly.
Braves up.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. So,
I love
Joe
over Severino, which, by the way, anybody that watched Severino over the last couple of years, you had to look at that line, Dave. It almost felt like, so you're begging me to take Kansas City here, because we know Severino is fully and Kansas City is red hot at the plate. And plus, that whole line, it was the one line that stunk to high heaven early this morning. It didn't get any better. So what does that line say? The Mets are at home? So I don't get it.
Well, I think a lot of people, we had this discussion today on Bostonian versus the Book. Matt was hesitant to bet on the Royals yesterday. He's like, well, I'm definitely not doing it today. I didn't think they would sweep, and they did. So now, it was like, all right, they'll lose now
quickly
because they're going to the Mets. And you've been around a little bit. You start betting on a team because they're due to lose, and they win.
That's not good.
that 6-game streak goes to 9, and you bet against
Mhm.
them, and you bet against them, and you bet, no.
Yep.
So I don't know. Seemed
I
that
wasn't-
one screamed obvious to me.
Yep.
I don't know. Coming up, I'll be on with Matt here coming up after this, but St. Louis and Arizona. Did you see that line? I
Yeah.
thought that was suspiciously low this morning when
I
I looked
agree.
at it. Cardinals at Arizona. All right,
Mhm.
Matson fought, but pick 'em. I mean, again, sometimes you just look at numbers and you go, geez, that should be minus 140, minus 150.
Yep.
And is that a reason
I'm
enough for you to
banking
just
runs.
play it? A lot of times, if I'm going to make a play, like it doesn't have to agree with what I thought the number should be, but
Right.
when it's off like that, you kind of go, all right, I'm playing this. Live with the result.
Yeah. I thought that, and Matz has been throwing pretty well here so far for St. Louis, but Arizona couldn't hit lefties last year, if you remember. And that's all they addressed in the offseason was, bringing in enough bats to be able to go ahead and hit lefties. And they're already a million miles further along against lefties than they were last year here. So I think there's going to be runs, and you know that ballpark, Dave, right? They crank up, they close that, make it indoors. The ball travels a little. They get that humidor going, and next thing you know, it's bombs away, which I kind of have a feeling that's what we're going to get here tonight from those two teams. So I just don't know what to do, whether we should lay it with the Dodgers or not tonight, because Yamamoto going up against Michael King, it feels like the Dodgers at home, this is maybe a good time to lay it with them with the running, because you're not going to lay $2, right? I mean, I'm not going to do that right now.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be interesting to watch the Dodger lines when Yamamoto pitches.
Yes.
We're all still learning what it should be when he pitches, right? Isn't it's higher when Glasnow pitches. We know what we're getting. They're minus 220 tonight, most likely, if Glasnow's pitching with this matchup. I'm surprised to see it under $2. Dodgers keep rolling. Another couple games, another rest of the month, and this matchup in May would be minus 240. So maybe right, maybe it is a little bit underpriced for the Dodgers, but I think it's because we don't know. We don't,
Correct.
And I'll probably be watching that later tonight. This is one of those ones where the Padres and Dodgers have had some really good games head to head, and I'm not sure I want to lay $2. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. That's nothing to sneeze at, Joe.
No, it's not.
No, the allergies out here are really kicking right now. I don't know about the total, right? So, we'll get a better feel for the Yamamoto and the Dodgers total, right?
Yeah.
So 8.5. Is that because it's at Dodger Stadium, or because you think Yamamoto is going to pitch a really, low-scoring game? So,
yeah,
it's tough. Excuse me.
I know a lot of guys that are all over Ohtani tonight. He's had some success against Michael King.
Right.
When King was with the Yankees and he was with the Angels, of course. So I know a lot of guys already betting the Ohtani anytime home run spot here. But I'm with you with Yamamoto. It's not like he's been shut out, like lights out, overpowering anybody. Like we've seen him get hit, right? He's pitched his, he obviously has the stuff, but I mean, the question to me is whether or not we trust the lineup of the Dodgers to get the King into that bullpen of the Padres. Can they score enough here and limit that Padres offense? I would only look to lay the 1.5, maybe even the half run in the first 5, because I do think Yamamoto should be able to outpitch King at home. No?
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think if you play it that way, play it the first 5 without laying the money line, take a shot and lay a half a run, hoping the Dodgers are winning at the break. What about the American League game that's getting ready to start? Texas and Houston. Kind of perplexed. You're getting a game that that line tells me something. Tells me that
Yep.
the odds maker not sure what to do with either one of these teams right now, right? Texas
Nope.
coming off of losing to Oakland. Houston getting swept by Kansas City. Houston's at home, so you make it what? You just do this in a room. I don't know what to do with this. Houston's at home, make it 130. Make it a quarter and see what happens. I don't feel like the side is the best play in this game. I like the total. Both lineups struggling. Under.
Big time.
Under 9.5.
Yep.
That's the play.
Yep.
That's the play.
Big time. And don't forget, Yamamoto was in when they opened up in Seoul, Korea. There, he got lit up by the Padres the first game. So don't forget, he was the big pitcher out there, and he got absolutely destroyed. So a bit of a revenge spot in that one. But that to me is worse than Houston and Texas, France versus Dunning. So you're talking about the 3 and 4 pitchers. Right, in the rotate. We're not talking about number ones here, right? We're talking 3-4 against two teams that couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag as of late. The only thing worse would be trying to figure out who to bet with Oakland and Washington, because I have no idea what to do with that one either. I think they're both take a coin and flip it, because I have no idea what to make of both of those teams and both of those games.
Yeah, so this Washington-Oakland game will get
It's
no
hilarious,
handle, right? It's
None.
This is a fun game, and
Yes.
we got guys that are Washington National fans that work closely with us. And Sammy, if you're watching, I would bet to know that you're not. How in the world can you not bet Washington plus money? How can you not? This game, just put a pick. Minus 110, both sides. That's what I would do. Say, listen, you want to come bet Oakland? Go ahead. You want Washington? Go ahead. Dead under. Let's look under.
Yep.
Right? 8. Yeah. I don't know. It almost looks easy, but I like the under best in that game. How about this one? Chicago Cubs going to Seattle. Right? We don't know still. Are the Cubs good? Nice little start. Are the Mariners 500 team or below? Not sure. Miller and Wicks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I happen to think I took the under in this game because actually it's going to be a pretty good pitchers battle here.
Correct.
I like Miller and I like the lefty Wicks too. So I do think that both offenses have a little something to be desired. So it wouldn't shock me if this is a 3-2 kind of game, 4-2 kind of game. So that's where I'm looking at that one.
Under.
There,
Seattle
under.
That's what
Done. See how easy that was? And now Dave gets to do it all over again coming up here in just a few minutes with Addict for All. We'll close it out next year, Game Time Decisions.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford, Father Time can catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in Game Time Decisions as we close out this edition, but have no fear. Dave Sharapan, Matty Peralt coming up here in just a minute or two here for a little in-game live primetime on this Friday, and a lot going on here on the diamond in Major League Baseball as well as the NBA. A couple of NHL games, and they just finished up at the Masters, in fact. And for those interested, cut line looks to be somewhere around 5 or 6 over, which unfortunately for some guys means that their week is over at Augusta. But up at the top of the leaderboard, Bryson DeChambeau, Max Homa, and Scotty Scheffler will be your leaders heading into the third round. Scotty Scheffler remains the overwhelming favorite here at plus 120 right now, which is laughable. Max Homa, 5-1, along with, it looks like DeChambeau right around the 5-1 price. You don't get to double digits until you get to Colin Morikawa, Aberg, those guys, and then it just slowly goes up from there. And just to give you an idea, 3 under par is what Morikawa is. Aberg is 2 under par. Everyone else is either 1 under or even par. And that's where you can still get some value, because this is still very much anybody's Masters. And with the weather clearing up a little bit for tomorrow, guys that are even par, 1 under par, can go out and shoot a number early. It's going to make it very interesting late. So lots still to go and be decided at Augusta at the Masters. In the meantime, the Baltimore Orioles are getting shellacked by the Brewers right now, 4-0. Early here in the top of the third. Colorado has beaten Gaussman 4-2 in that one in Toronto at the Rogers Center. And the LA Angels 4-0 up over Boston. Dave and Matt coming up will have you caught up with all the action on the diamond as well as the hardwood as Game Time Decisions. We'll see you again tomorrow here on the Grid.